What's up everybody and welcome to a Runescape 3 Ironman guide. Today we are taking on K'ril Tsutsaroth, aka the Zamorak God Wars boss. This is one of the most important bosses for Ironman accounts because K'ril drops the subjugation armor, which is the next magic gear upgrade after Lunars. K'ril is great to kill when on a Greater Demon Slayer task, even if you don't have a Slayer helmet unlocked. K'ril is a fantastic Reaper task and also a good boss to grind for Marks of War. If you're wondering why you aren't getting any God Wars Dungeon Reaper tasks, that's because in order to get any of the God Wars Dungeon bosses as a Reaper task, you need to have unlocked the God Wars Dungeon by meeting the skill and quest requirements. You also need to have been to the God Wars Dungeon at least once, by talking to the Dying Knight and placing a rope at the entrance. Let's talk about requirements and recommended gear. To access the God Wars Dungeon, you will need partial completion of the quest Troll Stronghold, 60 strength or agility to get past the boulder, and 70 hit points to access the Zamorak area of the dungeon. I'm going to be showing two methods in this guide, an early game method and a mid game method. Let's start with the early game method. I recommend 75 magic, 60 defense, and 45 prayer at the absolute minimum. For recommended gear, you're going to want lunar armor and a vanquish staff as well as a Gothic staff as your special attack switch. You can use a Gothic staff as your main weapon, but the kills will be a bit slower. A tier 2 luck ring like Ring of Wealth will give you increased drop rate at God Wars Dungeon. If you have a better DPS ring, like Asylum Surgeon ring or Ring of Vigor, it's your choice which one you would like to bring. In the Zamorak area, only creatures that exist are Zamorakian ones, so we only need one God item. An easy to get early game God item is the Zammy cape, which can be used with a Gothic staff, unlike in old school RuneScape, or a damaged Zamorakian book from Horror from the Deep quest. If you have 68 summoning, bring a Bunyip. Otherwise, bring your best Beast of Burden, bring an anti-poison potion if you have any. If not, that's okay, you'll just take a bit more damage. Bring at least 3 prayer potions and some air and fire runes. Mine are inside my rune pouch. Then, fill the rest of your inventory with food. I recommend Desert Souls at the bare minimum. I highly recommend you use the Vampirism Aura, as it will extend your trips greatly. Unlocking both the Sacrifice and Devotion skills will also help extend your trips, but are absolutely not needed. Set your spell to the highest fire spell you have unlocked, because K'ril is actually weak to fire. If your Slayer level is below 83, get kill count by killing imps and world hopping. Just be sure not to use your AoE skills like Chain and Dragon's Breath. If your Slayer level is 83 or higher, you can go absolutely buck wild with your AoE skills and get the 40 kill count required to enter the boss room. We are going to create a boss instance on the standard speed, then exit the instance. We will then go right back inside the instance, then set the speed to fastest. This will let us get an instance at the fastest respawn speed possible without having to pay. Now once you're inside, quickly run to the altar to restore your prayer points for free. Fun fact, you will overheal your prayer points by a small amount when wearing Zamorakian items. Run to the southeastern corner. This is where we will be standing at the start of every kill. Turn on Protect from Magic and your best DPS prayer. Start running around the room counterclockwise using your hotkeys to activate your abilities while kiting K'ril around the room. This method is very click intensive, but you'll be able to get a large amount of kills every trip even with this very basic gear. As soon as you hit 25 adrenaline, use your Gothic Staff special attack to lower the defense of K'ril. Whenever Wild Magic and Deep Impact are on cooldown, spam the Gothic Staff special attack as much as possible. As long as you keep kiting K'ril around the room, you should never use his hard-hitting special attack. This is the main reason this method is so good for long-lasting trips. K'ril and his minions drop high healing food, as well as super restore potions quite often, which will help extend your trips. Don't forget to pray at the altar every 10 minutes for a free prayer refill. Okay, let's move on to the mid-game method. For this, I recommend melee stats in the high 80s or 90s. For gear, Bane armor is good enough, but if you have anything better, go ahead and use that. I don't have any Bane on my account anymore, so I'm using a mix of Masterwork and Bandos. For weapon, you want at least tier 80 or better, like an Attuned Crystal Halberd or an Elder Rune two-hand sword. I'm using a Chaotic Spear, since it's what I used when I was grinding K'ril around the mid-game point. Bring the best non-degradable DPS and luck jewelry that you can. Also bring an Enhanced Excalibur. If you have the Spring Cleaner, go ahead and bring that as well. For this method, we aren't using prayer, so don't bother bringing any prayer potions. Desert Souls or other similar food is good enough for this method. With the Vampirism Aura, you should be able to stay inside the instance for the entire hour. Now, inside the K'ril instance, we are going to stand a few tiles away from the southern wall. We stand here because it lets us hit the mage minion with our AoE abilities. Remember, Quake first to lower defense, then Hurricane. Most of the time, those two abilities will be enough to kill the mage and melee minion. On screen, you will see me take a lot of damage here, but that's because I didn't turn on my Vampirism aura. Also, the first kill of the trip will always be the worst because we are starting with 0 adrenaline. Now, the reason we keep our prayer points at 0 is because it dramatically reduces the amount of damage K'ril does with his special attack. Now, sometimes you can get unlucky, and K'ril will spam his special attack, so be sure to pay attention to eat food when needed. Just like with the last method, K'ril and the minions drop tons of high healing food. Unless you get very unlucky, you should never come close to running out of food. There you have it, 2 Ironman methods for killing K'ril. One early game method, and one mid game method. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Please leave a comment down below on what other Ironman guides I should make in the future. Thanks for watching.